had that once, which was so frustrating. It was a 6 months, usually our sales cycle was 3 months. It was a 6-month sales cycle. They told me they will sign it off. And then it took another month. And then they said, yeah, nah, the CEO doesn't want to sign it off. And I'm just like, but you told me you're the one to sign it off. Oh, and I went back again and again, trying to understand, where did I go wrong? How did I miss that? Do you feel like in enterprise, usually CEOs are the ones who sign it off and people just need to be aware of it? Or how is your experience there?
So I think in all organization there are CEO-ish people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they are not the CEO,
Mm-hmm.
but they have the power of a CEO. Like so, the biggest organization I used to sell to used to be Microsoft. So it's a super big organization, and the COO was part of the process. And it was a 20-minute meeting with him in person. I used to stand up at 4 a.m. to prepare the slides, because the meeting was super quick, because my champion said, okay, we need to have this person in the process, this person in the loop. And this is maybe the point I want to bring to the table. He said that to me the
Mm-hmm.
evening before. He said, like, that
Mm-hmm.
deal value and that implication and the whole data shit, we should get him in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the COO, but I think, like, in an organization like this, there are enough people who can make the decision, if it's not about trillions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my champion helped me with that. And I think in your case, so, like, I don't want to blame you, but in your
Go
case,
ahead.
your champion was maybe afraid to tell you that he is not able to make it without the CEO, and then the CEO blocked. And I think this is part of a sales process to really ask that. So, are you really the person who
Yeah.
can sell that, who can
Yeah.
sign it?
Yeah.
I think, like, you can ask this question at least super valuable,
Yeah.
right? Um, and if you see then your champion is not willing to bring the real decision maker in,
Yeah.
and the process takes more and more and longer, I think I would stop it from your side and say, okay,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
so, like, you used to be too desperate in the
Yeah.
end, and being
Yeah.
desperate against enterprises is
Yeah.
the biggest killer.
Yeah. I think you have completely rewritten my narrative of what I had of that one deal that is really bugging me until today. And that's like 3 years ago. Maybe they were afraid of me. Maybe it was the
Yeah,
Germanness that scared them away. No, that's such a good
really.
point. That's such a good point. Gosh, now I have to go through all of my deals right now and just make sure that I'm not scaring. No, we're laughing, but actually, it is so true because you don't wanna embarrass yourself either. You don't wanna say, yeah, by the way, I know we spent so much time, but I still have to get someone in, so I'm so sorry, etc. I like that is really that is so true. So it all comes down to. Oh, sorry, yeah.
So, and I from my perspective, so I'm definitely not the CEO of Microsoft, but I do this CEO-ish thing sometimes as well. Want to be part of a decision, even though other people know it better than me, but then they are maybe not that convinced to include me, and I block it. And so it's like the same thing in 10,000 higher dimension, in the enterprise you try to sell to, and you need to address that fast.
Yeah.
If not, it will be a bad experience for all of you.
Yeah. Also, just saving time, I think, is such a key part. As much as enterprise takes longer, usually, unless, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually enterprise takes a bit longer in terms of sales cycles, etc., depending on what you sell as well, and how much it costs, etc. But you waste time if you don't sort that out ASAP. Like me, just learn from my mistakes. With that in mind, though, time in your masterclass, you mentioned something that really, yeah, really got me. You say, get 50% more done in less than 5 minutes. Can you explain that to the audience and to me, please?
I do not remember that I said that.
You
So
had
help me with that.
you had a lesson called "Get 50% more sales success within less than 5 minutes." I think it was about the preparation. It was about, look at this, look at that, do this, do that, and then you have more success faster. Do you remember?
Ah, got it. I remember. Yes, of course. Um, good.
Otherwise, don't
Uh,
worry, we can skip that part as well.
I'm good with it. So, I guess like in enterprise sales, the whole thing we used to talk about is understand whom to sell to and what is the value, what is in for this person, and then transfer it on a not that salesy way, so the other person feels like not I sell something, but he can buy something, right? And this had a lot to do with the situation of the company, of course, but with the situation and the personality of the other person as well. And based on that, I used to create a framework that normally works always, not because it's a pattern in the email, but it's a pattern in the research frame. And I think you do not find everything about the person and about the enterprise, but so try to know everything about an enterprise that is existing for more than 100 years. You will never be done with that, right? So
Yeah.
stop researching that much, right? I said sometimes it's important to invest an hour, or you could invest an hour in an awesome email, but in the end, it's like sometimes you just like correct and double correct and double correct
Mhm.
a point or something, right? So this will not move the needle in the end. It's more about having the feeling that 80% of what I write here addresses the person on the way he likes to communicate. And to do that, for example, I'm using human linker to understand the person on the other side and his characteristics, so that I can play my sales game based on the way he likes to communicate. And this is something I guess makes sometimes 50% success within less than 5 minutes.
That is amazing, guys. I'm gonna link number one Florian's masterclass, obviously, in the notes, but also human linker. You said, right?
Mhm.
I also link that one so you can check it out, try it, use it. Also be 50% more efficient in less than 5 minutes. With that in mind, I feel like in enterprise. And now let's move on with the next stage of the cycle, right? We have the first meeting, we have the overall discovery, we kind of identified our decision maker, we identified the blocker, the champion, etc., etc. And now we finally get to the juice. We get to the negotiation, to the part of you have uncovered all of the value. You have, like, literally they're ready to buy. And now it's all about price and then potential, most likely negotiation. Are there specific tactics or strategies that you follow when negotiating in enterprise? Or would you say actually human is human? It's always the same.
So it's very good that we are talking about that, because I think that was back then my biggest potential to implement tactics, because we lost many deals in that stage. So with my current company and when I used to be a seller as well, because here it comes from awesome bonding and kind of understanding the person on the other side, including all the people. Like everybody feels great now, but now it comes down to the real numbers, and this CEO-ish person, or even worse, CFO-ish person, looks at the deal and decides,
Yeah.
like Julius Caesar, right? Go or die. And in that case, I guess these super rational arguments are important, and you need to shift to emotion where you bring the other person in this uncomfortable situation to really decide something. And this is something people in enterprises are not that used to, right? So there is an effect, and we used to joke about it a lot. It's called Teflon effect. And Teflon effect means sometimes in enterprises there are people who just like climbing over years because they do not do critical decisions. And a critical decision is always buying something that is not McKinsey or Microsoft, right? So like something where the product market fit is not proven 10,000 times, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I guess in that situation, I lost many deals because I did not shift in this a bit sales mode. I used to I used to be the friend of the potential seller, of the prospect. I did a lot for him, but then I wasn't hard enough.
Mhm.
I was desperate. And even though that was the biggest deal, and for me, it would be life changing to get it, or at least quarterly changing to get it, the person on the other side should never feel that. Never. Because then he is in power, or she. And if that happens, you're fucked.
Mhm.
So the hardest and most important thing in negotiation is just like, okay, let's make it, or let's break it here. Both okay.